wild roads in the far northeast of Norway. 2 European highways come this far. Running through the country for thousands of kilometers, they are the lifelines of the small towns and villages on this part of the Arctic Ocean known as the Barents Sea. Snow plows and blowers battle their way through snow and ice to clear the way for traffic. Every metre is a challenge and fraught with risk. Setting out into this fascinating and unique landscape through a seemingly endless snowy wilderness is always an adventure. On the Kongsfjordfjellet, the Kongsfjord mountain, there are only 3 roads. They are vital for the settlements on the coast. Erika Jensen works for the road maintenance service. Her job is to clear the routes of snow and ice so that everyone can travel safely across Kongsfjord mountain, which is actually a huge plateau.
Motorists are our biggest challenge. Often their windscreen becomes iced up. This affects visibility. They then lose sight of the road and get stuck. They can't see a thing.
When a lot of snow has fallen, red marker poles on the left and right of the road help motorists and snowplows to orientate. Any poles damaged in snow clearing operations or by the weight of the snow are replaced. The ground is frozen solid. Despite the cold, replacing a pole is a job that can really make you sweat.
These route markers are really important because in a snowstorm we need the reflectors in order to see well. Without them, you can easily come off the road. When it has snowed, you can't tell where you are. Everywhere looks the same. In the past, people have lost sight of the route markers and ended up a long way from the road.
This region in the far north of Norway is known as the Finnmark. With less than 2 inhabitants per square kilometre, it is one of the most sparsely populated areas of Norway. In the east, the Finnmark borders on Russia and Finland. The E6 highway runs north from Kirkenes. From Tana, wild roads cross the Varanga Peninsula to the Arctic Ocean. Johan Samuel Nedriot belongs to the same team as Erika Jensen. They and their colleagues work shifts. If weather conditions make it necessary, they are in action round the clock.
In a short time, more snow has fallen than we expected. If a wind also gets up, we'll have problems. We've now got a real snowstorm with driving snow. I'm going down to see how much snow has fallen. For now, I'll stay on the road. I have a lot of respect for nature. I grew up in a Sami family who bred reindeers. I learnt that nature is not to be taken lightly. You live with nature, not against it. You can't change the weather. All you can do is accept it.
Depending on the road conditions, it will take Johan about 45 minutes to reach the end of the route over the pass. The Finnmark has numerous fjords and rivers. Ice deserts and northern coniferous forests are typical of the region. Even in summer, the temperature rarely climbs above 10 degrees Celsius. For around 10,000 years, the Finnmark has been home to the Sami, an indigenous people who used to follow the seasons as nomads. Mylene Jeriveri is a Sami who lives in the Pasvik Valley, a narrow strip of land between Finland and Russia. Her 11 sled dogs are her greatest joy. Her trips have to be well prepared because the next house is often up to 50 kilometers away.
I need a shovel to dig a wind-protected shelter for me and the dogs should anything happen, and an axe for chopping wood or meat for the dogs.
If one of the huskies has minor injuries to its paws, Mylene puts socks on them. Otherwise, the wounds would get worse as the dog ran through freezing meltwater or through ice with sharp edges. Huskies love to run. It's what they were bred for over many generations.
There are many reasons why it is safer to travel by dog sled than by car. You're not exposed to what can happen on the road. But something else could happen with dogs, of course.
Mylene and her huskies reached the frozen Pasvikelva River, which separates Norway from Russia. The border is only 50 meters to the east. Crossing it without permission would have serious consequences. So to be on the safe side, Mylene quickly turns off to the west and into the Norwegian taiga. The huskies are hungry, so they're given pieces of frozen meat.
Varsågod, flinke. Ja, bra.
For Mylene and her dogs, trips like this are training, because when she has the time, she competes in dog sled races through the Finnmark. It's a challenge in the wild. Mylene is actually a qualified nurse who looks after cancer patients.
The long trips give me a break from my everyday life and all the difficult challenges I'm faced with in my job. When I am out in nature, I'm alone with the dogs. Then the most important thing I have to think of is that we all have something to eat, that as a team we're in good shape. That really relaxes me and gives me a feeling of freedom.
But occasionally that peace is disturbed. These hungry snow grouse are searching for shoots and leaves. Are they the reason why the dogs are all so agitated? The region is also home to many bears. Over 100 are said to live in the Pasvik Valley.
My dogs start to bark when they notice something I haven't. Occasionally you see something fantastic, like elk crossing the route or snow grouse taking off, or a bear in the forest, suddenly pricking up its ears, having a look, and then shuffling off. I experience so much more when I'm out with the dogs, and that's wonderful.
Situated on Kongsfjord Mountain is the snowplow station where Erika and Johan are based. Erika started work here 7 years ago as a cleaner. She then learned to drive a snowplow. She's the only woman in the team.
I get teased from time to time, but I can take a bit of fun. Otherwise, I just leave. I don't have to make an issue of it. If someone annoys me, I head off. Some say this isn't the right kind of job for me, but I reckon I'm pretty good at it.
The weather can change very quickly, so Johan wants to make sure he's well prepared.
I'm just checking the weather report to find out when the snowstorm will hit. It's only expected to snow, there will be no wind, so the snow will come straight down. It won't really affect visibility. However, it could be a heavy snowfall.
Erika has made some waffles. Her two colleagues are hungry. Erika is told that Torbjörn, a third member of the team, has gone to put some diesel in his snowplow. Sour cream would have been nice, Auden says. Yeah, Erika replies, and Bruno's cheese as well. Normally they always have that, but today the cupboard is a bit bare. The road heading north over Kongsfjord Mountain is the only land route to the coastal settlements on the Barents Sea. So it's particularly important for the snowplows to keep it open. Raymond de Vola works for a haulage firm. He drives this route once a week, supplying stores big and small with all the things the villagers need.
There's often a strong wind blowing. It really polishes the road, making it very slippery. You can easily be blown off course. I drive in all weathers. At any rate, I always try to arrive.
Jeg prøver i hvert fall å forsøke å komme frem.
The coastal road between Kongsfjord and Berlevåg is particularly dangerous. Avalanches and landslides occasionally break loose on the steep slopes and block the route. This might not be the end of the world, but it's fairly close to it.
People up here, at least those in Berlevåg and other remote villages, fully understand that. When the weather's bad, we can't always make it on time. But we do our very best to get the goods through.
As in many other places, in March, people in Berlevåg also have to battle against the snow. Anyone who has to go even a short distance in the settlement uses a kick sled known as a spark. Berlevåg has around 900 inhabitants, but the population is decreasing from year to year. Most people work in the fishing industry. Berlevåg, in fact, is one of the main fishing centers in the Finnmark. Raymond Davola has got through safely. His first customer is the owner of the local supermarket, Odd Vidar Hansen.
You've got a lot of snow up here.
Before Raymond can unload his delivery, he first has to clear away the obstacle that's ever present at this time of the year.
We're used to waiting for 6, 7 or 8 hours when the weather's bad. We've even gone a week without a delivery. That was when the road between Berlevåg and Kongsfjord was closed for a whole week because of the risk of an avalanche. We take what we have. We sell potatoes as fish. We have to be creative. But obviously we all notice what a week without a food delivery means.
As soon as Raymond has unloaded his pallets full of cartons and boxes, he'll head off to his next customer. His stock of provisions also needs building up. The winter is nowhere near over. The road between Berlevåg and Kongsfjord is Steinar Mattisson Lerbeck's home track. He runs a taxi firm and is out and about when his guests feel conditions are too dangerous to get behind the wheel themselves.
The safety of my passengers always comes first. If the weather's bad, we cancel the trip. At times, we've also had to turn back. We set off but had to return to Berlevåg because the weather was just too bad to continue. That happens occasionally, but by and large, we manage to get through.
Stort sett så går det ganske greit. The trip to Kongsfjord takes Steiner about 45 minutes. Every Thursday he drives there to pick up Jørgen Andersen. The 80-year-old decided to attend a dance course to keep fit, but the only available course was in nearby Berlevik. And for her, the only way out of the little fishing village of Kongsfjord is by taxi. Jørgen is looking forward not only to the dancing, but also to seeing all the others in the group again. She's been attending the course every week since 2005. They began with line dancing, she tells Steiner.
This social day means a lot to me, because I live on my own. People these days don't visit one another as much as they used to. Now they just sit at home and watch television. I really appreciate this day, and that Steinar comes to collect me. I'd like to do some line dancing with him. Even if we had to drag him onto the dance floor.
I think I'll stick to driving a taxi. I'm not exactly a good dancer.
There's a strong headwind and the road is like glass. But today too, Steiner gets Jørgen to Berlevik on time at 10 o'clock. She pays him 50 Norwegian kroner for the trip, around €4. The rest is subsidized by the municipality. The dance course takes place in a building which used to house the Seamen's Mission. It lasts about 2 hours, so Steiner has time to do his shopping before driving Jørgen back home. Seven women are following instructor Eva Molnik. But where are their dance partners?
As you can see, there are no men here, just us women. We'd love to have 3 or perhaps even 5 men here, but we'll get by. I think women make contact more easily. It's always been like that. In fact, I think that's the case everywhere. Vivian has a step counter, and she told me that in 90 minutes we take between 6,500 and 7,000 steps. That's important. Are you ready?
At the snowplow station on Kongsfjord Mountain, the night shift is well underway. Erika has to try and keep to the guidelines that have been set, that there shouldn't be more than 3 to 4 centimeters of snow on the road. Otherwise, the pass will have to be closed, and people will then have to drive in convoys.
I prefer driving at night when it's quiet. There are few vehicles on the road and you can see the reflectors on the route markers. During the day, they are hard to see in bad weather, and you can drift off the road far more easily. I love driving when the weather's bad, when there's a snowstorm blowing. The time passes quickly, and it boosts your self-confidence afterwards to know you've done a good job.
The self-confidence that comes from controlling a heavy snowplow also helps Erika handle her colleagues.
We women are a bit more careful. In technical matters, I often ask the others for help. They are a lot better at repairing things or identifying certain noises. At any rate, I drive more carefully and don't cause as much damage as they do.
Here in the far north of Norway, you get a feeling for the pulse of the universe. The northern lights, aurora borealis, to use the scientific name, are caused by electrically charged particles from the sun entering the Earth's atmosphere. Erika is back from her spell on the snowplow. If more snow falls during the night, she'll have to go out again. Actually, she deserves a break now. But
we just had a phone call. A car has got stuck. The driver says he's not in really deep, but he'd like to get out. So I'm heading off to rescue him. A lot of people underestimate the weather.
Come on, just a bit further.
the man, it seems, didn't veer off the road. He wanted to load his snowmobile and use part of the shoulder. Not exactly a good idea. The men are used to handling a tow rope.
People get stuck all the time, especially in a violent snowstorm.
We're lucky she was working and didn't ask any questions, but the road over the pass could have been closed. Then we would certainly have had to wait here for a few hours. When the wind is blowing at 20 kilometers an hour and there is so much snow around like now, it gets pretty uncomfortable up here.
People here are very nice. They give one another a tow. That often happens when we're driving in a convoy. If I can't get through, there is always someone who offers to pull people out.
Up here, snowplows are everything. Erika and her colleagues try their very best to keep the road open and avoid having to close it. But sometimes they are powerless. Nature always has the last say. Covering more than 1,800 square kilometers, Varangerhalvøya is Norway's most northerly national park. It lies in an Arctic mountain landscape. An almost pristine region from the last ice age, it has a large diversity of ecosystems. At this time of the year, a meter-deep layer of snow means there is little of the flora to be seen. It's a different case with the fauna. However, to observe animals here, you need a lot of patience and perseverance. Arctic foxes have become rare up here. They are being displaced by invasive red foxes. National Park Rangers Arne Petter and Krista Mikkelsen are state employees. Part of their job is to make sure that the feeding sites for Arctic foxes are regularly topped up. There are about 10 kilos left, so the men will put in half a sack. Arne Petter and Krista want to make sure that the Arctic foxes make it safely through the winter. The hundreds of pictures taken by special cameras installed at the feeding sites enable an intensive study to be made of these shy creatures. The documentation is important for research purposes.
Arctic foxes had almost disappeared here, but since we released some and started feeding them, their numbers have clearly recovered.
The Arctic foxes have created a network of tunnels around the feeding site.
This is the main entrance. The Arctic foxes use it a lot. You can see that it is always kept open. All around there is a great deal of excrement along with numerous tracks.
Krista Mikkelsen takes samples of the excrement. Later in the laboratory, they will be subject to DNA analysis. The results will tell scientists about the development of the population, amongst other things, which foxes are giving birth to cubs each year, and how many they are having.
The first time I saw an Arctic fox was at this den. We drove up from the east and 2 foxes were lying outside. A blue fox and a white one. What a fabulous sight. I've often seen red foxes, but the Arctic fox is a totally different creature, especially when you notice how it moves. It doesn't run like a red fox, it virtually flies, it moves forward in little jumps.
The Finnmark is a paradise for animals, at least for those which need cold in winter. Just off the easternmost tip of Norway lies the tiny island of Hønøya. It's home to one of the country's biggest seabird colonies, comprised of 40,000 pairs. Common shags, which have a prominent crest in the breeding season, guillemots, puffins, kittiwakes, herring gulls, and many other aquatic birds feel like they're in a whirlpool here. They seem to like it. The cliff face is an ideal breeding site. From March on, Every nook and cranny and every ledge is occupied by gulls who built their nests here. After the breeding season, they head off again. Back to the coastal road between Berlevik and Kongsfjord on the northern side of the Varanga Peninsula. In another bigger taxi belonging to his firm, Steinar Mattisson Leibekis is on his way towards the mountains. Today he has to cross the Kongsfjord Fjellet. Steinar has seen on the internet that the pass route is open, so there is no need to drive in a convoy. The snowplows have done a great job and cleared the road for cars. Jan Rune Annanlassen has to get to Varangerbotn to catch the coach to Kirkenes. It's a route where a surprise is always on the cards.
Jo da, for jeg tror 6-7 år siden.
6 or 7 years ago, a friend and I were in the mountains. We sat for 2 or 3 days at the Gednje station in a snowstorm.
Men det gikk jo til, ja. Så da måtte jeg overnatte.
But it was okay. We had to spend 2 nights there, but the snowplow team were very nice to us. They baked waffles for us and gave us coffee and food.
I always have a mattress, a blanket, and cushion with me, just in case I get stuck somewhere. Then I can put my head down and get some sleep. When the weather changes, it's best to stop somewhere.
The bus station in Varangerbotn is a hub. Here, the E6 and the E75 meet. Passengers arrive from all directions and transfer. A bit of banter. This chap reckons Steinar ought to get a toupee. At least it would keep his head warm. This driver tells Steinar she's come from Kirkenes. He thinks she'll be doing a round trip, but she is in fact waiting for another coach to arrive. She'll then take it over. Steinar hears that the roads are fairly clear. There were no snowstorms, although it was cold in Kirkenes. He tells his colleague that there were some snow flurries in the mountains, but at least he didn't have to drive in a convoy. She reckons it's a lot easier driving a small minibus when there's a strong wind blowing. The coach south to Kirkenes is driven by Aleksandra Woźnica. Born in Poland, she's lived in the Finnmark for 9 years now. Because of love and seemingly endless nature, she has remained in Norway. It was here that she learned to drive a coach. She has now got used to the long, cold winters and the long, dark nights. But Aleksandra still has to be on her guard for sudden changes in the weather, which happen all the time.
For me, I think the biggest challenge in winter time is wind. Windy weather. When there's big wind, we cannot control bus, and also it's wind is Polish road, snow and ice making more slippery, and then condition is very, very bad. I always say that you must drive with and using your head, not just driving, and that's how it is.
The drivers are experienced. In a coach, the driver sits high up, so he has a better view of the road than a motorist.
I always have warm clothing with me. You need that in case you get stuck somewhere. Even now, when I'm sitting in the coach on my way to Romania, I'm dressed for the winter.
Because of elk and reindeer crossing the route, The stretch from Varangerbotn to Kirkenes is regarded as particularly dangerous. Collisions with wild animals occur time and again.
It's reindeer on the road. That's not on the road, but during the trip. That's maybe sometime I need to very slow down pass.
Alexandra gets her passengers safely to their destination. The word Finnmark means land of the Sami. Sami are found in Sweden, Norway, Finland and Russia, but most of them, around 85%, live in the Finnmark. Like Elinor Utsi's family, in the past the Sami were nomads. Together with Ailu, her husband, Elinor is preparing for a trip to their reindeer herd, which is spending the winter in the mountains. They're taking with them what they will need for a picnic in the snow. As they head for the upland plain, the Utsis keep a constant lookout for their herd, which roams free. The Sami and their animals feel climate change very closely. The winters are steadily getting warmer. Snow is melting more and more often during the daytime. Then at night, when the temperature drops below freezing, a layer of ice forms on the ground, virtually sealing it.
This layer is rock hard, so it is difficult for the reindeers to penetrate and get through to the food they need. So then we have to feed them, otherwise they'll spread out over the entire upland plateau. If the reindeer can't get through to their food, they'll go everywhere else in search of it. There is actually enough for them. There are many tracks here. The animals are probably all searching for food.
This is a highly critical time. Female reindeer in particular need food now, so that they can bear calves. When I was young, we used to have long periods when it was really cold. That was normal. But things have changed. Now we have mild winters like today. Now it rains in winter. And that is not normal. It is a huge challenge.
Providing additional fodder is expensive for the Sami. In the long term, they will have to restructure their reindeer economy. In addition to the noticeable effects of climate change, the Sami also face another problem, also associated with nature. Reindeer that roam free are welcome prey for wolves, wolverines and lynx. Ivar Ailu, one of Eleanor and Ailu's sons, has found a young reindeer that was killed. He has to report the animal's death to the authorities in order to receive compensation.
It was probably killed by a lynx. A wolverine would have eaten the head first. A lynx has been reported in this area.
A get-together in the bitter cold with snow all around. Ailu, Elinor, their sons, daughters-in-law, and their grandchildren want to chat for a while in the wild. This is part of the Sami way of life, and it's hoped that the younger generation will keep up the tradition. A fire has been made, and the family are going to grill some reindeer fillets. Ailu and Elinor are reindeer breeders. They're worried that their grandchildren might not be able to live and work the way the Sami have done for generations.
If they plan to open mines or set up wind power plants, lots of roads will be built. Roads up to the wind turbines and roads around the wind turbines. And a road will provide access to the pasture areas. So other users will come. Green energy sounds really positive. But it won't be green if it makes use of our pastures. We practice sustainable reindeer breeding in the wild, and they are taking our land away from us in order to introduce industry.
Once again, it snowed heavily in the night. Now, vehicles can only cross the Kongsfjordfjellet in a convoy. The roads are only open for a few hours. The convoy is headed by Johan in his snowplow. He's clearing the road for trucks, coaches and cars.
In good weather, most people in the mountains know how to drive. But for someone with no experience of the weather conditions in winter in northern Norway, driving in a convoy in a snowstorm with poor visibility can be really difficult.
Motorists have to keep a fair distance from the vehicle in front. This ensures sufficient visibility and gives them a chance to avoid a collision should something happen. Erika is driving at the back of the convoy, making sure that no vehicle gets left behind. She wants to know if there will be another convoy today and learns that might be the case because of the amount of snow on the tops. So far, there haven't been any incidents. Everyone is sticking to the rules.
Occasionally, some odd things happen, like motorists in a convoy trying to overtake or trying to pass the snowplow. Then, as a rule, they get stuck, so we have to think of the least able drivers and see that they also make it.
At a junction next to the snowplow station, the convoys crossing the mountains from the coastal villages on the Barents Sea come together. Roads in the Finnmark are among the most hair-raising routes in Europe, especially in winter, which here is still by no means over.